Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto anime review. This one's going to be for episode 125, which is called Boruto and Shinki. And this seemed to be, I suppose, the end of the arc, at least in the way that it was up to now. Next episode, it looks like we are still sort of continuing in a sort of epilogue, sort of fallout from the arc thing, and that Shikaku is kind of sticking around in the Leaf Village for at least a bit, which at least leaves the door open to where they could be like, oh, Urashiki did something sneaky and now he's in the Leaf Village, and then we get the big sort of finale of the arc. They could always activate that if they wanted to, but for the most part they definitely played this up like the end of this arc for now. This wasn't the full-on defeat of Urashiki, but he at least had to retreat. The arrival of Sasuke on the scene was a bit too much for him, seeing that he was actually having some trouble with Boruto and Shinki teaming up together. As adding Sasuke to that was a bit too much. He retreated, and he lives to fight another day. Now, the thing with that is, why it's a little bit disappointing for me, is that the manga chapter that came out this week specifically was very heavy Otsutsuki focused, in that you had the characters mentioning like all the Otsutsukis they dealt with, except Urashiki wasn't mentioned. And he seems to sort of be very exclusive to the anime, but he seems to be important within the anime because he is so tricky. He's got a plan that is unlike the other Otsutsukis, and even just the detail here in the middle of the fight, him noticing and being aware of what Boruto's power is, the Jogan, and naming it, was interesting. But beyond that, and him saying that's like a troublesome eye, nothing else was said about it. And so it's this weird situation where the episode played it, I think, very safe with the end of this arc, in that I don't really feel it fully delivered on kind of anything that it was really about. Even the Boruto-Shinki dynamic, while they're better at teamwork now and they seem to sort of understand each other a little bit more, I was actually sort of let down with the final conversation that the two had between each other. I felt like after the dedication of Shinki going back to fight with Boruto, being unsatisfied with the completion of his mission because he had to leave Boruto behind, he joins the fight again. It felt like he finally understood something, but then it was really clear at the end that he didn't fully get it, and that he was asking Gaara, I don't understand what you meant. And look, I get it. At this point in time, Boruto or Shinki are never going to be like the super close friends just now. They're very much rival friendship type thing going on here, and it's going to take a little bit more to break through that to the point where I think Shinki understands fully Boruto and so on. And in that sense, I just feel like the arc didn't quite deliver on what I wanted it to deliver on, that being Shinki kind of progressing a bit, understanding what was said to him by Gaara at the start of this arc, what they referred to again here of Boruto has something you don't possess. Maybe you'll learn about it from him. And it's clear that what that was the idea of, being able to put your comrades just as high up as a mission. And Shinki sort of got that, but hasn't fully connected the dots. At the very least, what this arc has done, though, what I'll give it credit for, is that it has taken Boruto and Shinki from being just, pure rivals. They were in the same arc together back in the movie arc, and now they are actually closer. There is a rivalry friendship there. It's a more of a unique dynamic than we had before. That's what this arc has done. Beyond that, I think this arc maybe teased that it would be a little bit more important than it actually ended up being, because the end result was just that Urashiki was forced to retreat, and we don't really know where he's at. He's still out there. We still don't know what happened to him. Is he still around where we are right now in the manga, or is the anime eventually going to get around to dealing with him? Because it was clear that they were ending this arc. They very quickly summed up the fact that, okay, look, Temari and Shikadai have been rescued. Kankuro is not dead, if anyone thought he was. He's okay. He's a bit, singed, I suppose, after the explosion, but he's there. No one was killed in all of this. The main takeaway is just that we have a slightly different take on the Shinki-Boruto dynamic, and that's really about it. Urashiki is still interesting, but what exactly are we going for here? The fight I thought was actually quite good. It was clear they put a decent amount of animation into it. It was a Jogan sequence, so we got to see a little bit more of that. Primarily here in terms of it was able to see the dimension portal open up like before it actually opened up. So it gave them a slight advantage in the fight in terms of being able to predict where Urashiki was going to come out from. But beyond that, it didn't do the same thing it did in the other fights, where it was more of a sort of power amplifying kind of ability, where it was making his other jutsu like exceptionally powerful and big. So the full scope of what the Jogan actually is kind of unclear. But the fact that at least some Otsutsuki know about it, to me at least makes it clear that it's an important thing. And the fact that the Otsutsukis who have the Byakugan as like a native eye power that they have are aware that, the Jogan's a really tricky ability, it kind of suggests like, what is that? Like, is it more Otsutsuki related? Which both the anime and the manga are both very much teasing the fact that like we are going to need to learn a lot about the Otsutsukis going forward, more than we know up until this point, more about them as a species, what their kind of raw abilities are, how their structure works, and what they're trying to accomplish to inform what's going on here. But again, the anime feeling, it's hard to judge like when you should be committed to the anime or not. I think is the main problem, in that this arc teased the fact that this could be them finally dealing with Urashiki, but they do and they don't kind of with it. Similarly with the Boruto Shinki stuff, like it's okay, it's a little bit of character progression, but it's not anything particularly huge or anything like that. So in the end, like, you got some nice moments right at the end. Gaara and Naruto at the end. You did get your sort of resolution for now with Boruto and Shinki, and at least they're continuing on the sort of threads from this arc into the next episode. I'm actually very interested in the next episode. Now, it looks very fun. The Leaf Village are going to be holding on to Shukaku for a while I suppose things calm down, while they figure out, I suppose, for sure if Urashiki is gone or if he's still lingering around. It's probably safer in the Leaf Village. So Naruto's guarding him at home, and the main thing they seem to be teasing is Shukaku interacting with Himawari, which is going to be pretty interesting because she got a toy of Shukaku, and so she, I suppose, has grown to like Shukaku. Now she gets to meet the real one. It will be interesting if anyone comes out and just says flat out, this is the real tailed beast, like this is quite dangerous here, and then especially with Naruto, like if he full on reveals to everyone, is more open about like, yeah, I have Kurama inside me, especially if Shukaku is going to be talking about the fox and his relationship with Kurama. It feels like there might be some interesting things of like Himawari like learning about Kurama inside Naruto and that sort of stuff. And then I think beyond next episode, it'll be like, is it just a one-off, like, end of arc kind of fun thing with Shukaku, or are we kind of heading into like this arc, like the second half, and like Urashiki comes back sooner than expected, and we maybe get him defeated in the Leaf Village or something like that? Because it feels like where we are in the manga that he should have been mentioned, if he was still around or anything like that. So he must have been dealt with before now, but again, it's very, very unclear. And yeah, like it still remains this thing of like, it still feels like we're sort of nowhere near getting to manga content in the anime. And I think that's fine, simply because the second they start, if they go right now into the manga content, they're going to blow through it super, super quickly, because Boruto is a monthly manga, and because of its pacing as well, which is kind of slow even though it is a monthly and it's longer chapters, especially when it gets to fights, the pacing really, really slows down to a crawl. So if they start doing the manga content that hasn't been covered yet, they're going to get through it so quickly that we'll immediately be back to things as they are now. So I can sort of appreciate them seemingly setting up this, like, here is a big anime arc that will need to be covered before we get into the manga content, and that is dealing with Urashiki, who's been this kind of constant menace. And then it sets up the idea that all of our characters have much more experience dealing with Otsutsuki since they dealt with Kaguya, Momoshiki, Kinshiki, and Urashiki. So, you know, Kara, Jigen, that sort of stuff coming into play is much more of a like they're prepared, but he surprises them type thing. But Boruto and Shinki, this episode 125, solid. I think that's the best way to describe this arc, is solid. Maybe didn't quite live up to the potential that it had, that it could have done if they weren't limited by how important stuff could be, but still I think better than a decent amount of what we've got up to now. But next week's episode looks very, very fun. Every time Himawari gets a focus in an episode, I think it immediately makes it better, because everyone wants to see where they go with her as a character. But review next week is going to be fun. So that's my review for this episode. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on episode 125. What were your thoughts on how they ended this arc with not really doing that much with Urashiki in the end? Boruto and Shinki's relationship, them maybe not quite committing to doing anything character arc related that much with them, and just the I think the arc ending quite suddenly in a way, and like, is it going to continue? Answer me in the comments below, definitely. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.